Okay, now to continue on with our action scripting, let's start getting into our buttons. So the first thing we're going to do is start setting up the start button. So our start underscore BTN. We're going to add an event listener to that. The event we're going to look for is a mouse event dot click. And the function I want to call is called start game. This could be a start game function. Our next button is the instructions button. BTN. And again, add an event listener to that. And that is going to be our mouse event dot click again. And I'm going to call a function called instructions. And semicolon at the end of that line. Next is our reset button. And again, another add event listener for our mouse event. And that's going to be another click event. And with that, I'm going to call a function called reset game. And our last one that we're going to do is for our gun target. Our gun target, we're going to add an event listener to that. And again, that's going to be a mouse event dot click. So when we actually click down on our gun target, what do we want to do? Now I'm going to call a function called collision detection. So that takes care of all of our buttons that are on there. Now let's start setting up some of the functions. The first function that I want to set up is my start game function. And with that function, I need an event. So EVT, I'm just going to abbreviate it, EVT. And that is going to be a mouse event. And with that, we need to specify, are we going to return anything back from this? And I'm not going to return anything back, so I'm just going to put in void. So with that, what do we want to do inside our start game function? First thing I want to do is I want to hide my mouse or that cursor. So I'm going to say mouse.hide parenthesis parenthesis, and that will hide our mouse. I want to show or make visible all of my text fields that are part of our interface. So I'm going to set these equal to true. That's my minutes, our seconds. Let's make that equal to true. Our milliseconds. And all these are these text fields out here. And set that to true. The next one is my score field. I want that set to true. Let's see, my timer text. And that was a lowercase timer. Let's set that visible equal to true. Okay. Now on my start button, I don't want to see the start button anymore, so I'm going to set that visible equal to false. My instructions button, I don't need to see that anymore, so let's set that visibility equal to false. My instructions, if my instructions are showing, I want to hide that. So visible equals false. My title, I had that as a movie clip, so let's set that visibility equal to false as well. And the last thing in here is I'm going to add another event listener to the stage, and this is going to be an event, and the event that we're looking for is an enter frame event. The function I'm going to call is game loop. Okay, Now with that should take care of everything that needs to happen when we click on the start button. Next, I'm going to set up another function for my instructions. So, and again, this is just going to be an event, and it is another mouse event. And again, I'm not going to return anything back from this. So let's come back up in here, and what do we want to happen? I want my instructions underscore button, and I want to be able to mouse enable that button and make it equal to false, so I cannot click on it anymore. Next, I'm going to take my instructions button, and I'm going to change the blend mode of this and make it equal to overlay. That will change the color and know that you have already clicked on this button. It's no longer visible. And then on my instructions underscore txt, I want that to be visible so I can actually see it now. So, and that should take care of our start button and our instructions button. So when we click on those, these events are going to happen. So again, on our start button, we're going to show all of the interface, so our seconds, our timer, and our score. We're going to hide our start button, our instructions button, the text if it is visible. If it's not visible, you know, we still want to set it to false. And our title. Then we're going to do an add event listener for the stage. The stage is the main timeline sitting out there. And we're going to do an enter frame. The enter frame event is basically based off of how many frames per second are you running. Basically, I have mine set up to 12 frames per second, so it's going to look at that game loop function, and it's going to run through all that code 12 times in 1 second as it goes through. On our instructions button, basically we want to make sure that when we click on it, the button cannot be clicked on anymore. So again, our mouse enabled is equal to false. That's going to stop it from clicking. We're going to change the blend mode. So basically I'm just changing the color or the setting of this so you'll know it's already been clicked on, and then show our text. Okay, now in the next tutorial we'll continue on with our Actionscript and start setting up our game function or that game loop that we just created for this here. So we'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks.